So this question is a diagram question. Any question that provides some visual input, I'm going to call a diagram question. More specifically, this is a graph question, right? So with graph questions, it's always a good idea to at least look at what the x-axis represents, what the y-axis represents, and just make sure we fundamentally understand what each point on that graph, or at least a point on that graph would represent, which in this case is pretty obvious, right? At 4 seconds, for instance, we're at a momentum of 7 Newton seconds here. So let me just erase all this and let's read the actual question here to see what we're being asked to find. So the question says the graph shows the momentum y in Newton seconds of an object x seconds after the object started moving. For x is between, I like to read it as x is between 0 and 8. What is the average rate of change? So here's our hint. Average rate of change on the SAT is treated as a slope. The slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So then we can always think of it as, we can also think of it as rise over run. We can also think of it as delta y over delta x, all the same thing. So what are we finding the slope of? So what is the average rate of change in Newton seconds per second in the momentum of the object from x equals 2 to x equals 6? I'm going to use this formula here. It's the most obvious for me. So let's start with the x values in the denominator. So in my denominator, I have x2 minus x1. x2 is 6, x1 is 2. So I'd have a 6 minus 2 in the denominator. For my y values, the momentum, the y value when x is 6 is 8. So I have an 8. Minus the x value, the y value when x is 2 is 6. So I'd have a 6 here. So altogether, this would become 8 minus 6, which is 2. 6 minus 2, which is 4. And our answer would be 1/2. Right? We could also, of course, write it as 0.5. So those are my answers. If I treated it as rise over run instead, again, I know that I'm going from x is 2 to x is 6. So I'd rise up twice and I'd run 4 times. So that will still give me a 2 over 4. And of course, delta y over delta x is the exact same thing as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I get the exact same answer as the other options, which is 2 over 4, equivalent to 1 over 2. So our answer here is 1/2 or 0.5.